What's up, y'all? This is Jackson Whalan, and in this episode of Hip Hop from the Woods, I'm going to share with you how I release music independently.
Hip hop from the woods, worldwide, what's good?
I've been rapping and making beats for about 15 years, and I've been releasing music under my name for about 8 years. And recently I've gained thousands of Spotify followers by following the steps on this music release checklist that I created from years of experience and just learning along the way to have an impactful release. So I want to share that with you, and that's part of my mission, is to share success with other artists and help other artists have successful releases. So I'm including links in the description about some of the things that I'm going to be talking about, and you can also download a PDF of this very music release checklist in the description of this video. And most importantly, please go stream my music on your favorite streaming platform. You can find me under Jackson Whalan. Appreciate you liking, subscribing, commenting also really helps. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'm excited to help you get your music out there. So you have your music mastered, everything's finished, all the songs are ready to go. Maybe it's a single, maybe it's an album. You've got the album art, you've got the music videos, and now it's time to release. So you're going to need to distribute your music if you want it to get onto Apple Music or Spotify or Tidal. There's other platforms where you're going to have to manually upload, like Bandcamp or SoundCloud. All of these platforms are great, but to get on the big stores, you need a distributor. I use DistroKid to distribute my music, but there's plenty of other services out there as well, like CD Baby, TuneCore, United Masters, and I'm sure that there's a lot of others. But pick which one's your favorite and distribute your music to all the stores from there. If you're releasing an album, it's always a good idea to create a pre-order to let your fans order the album before it's out. So you can do that on iTunes and Bandcamp, and your distributor will also send you a pre-save link, which you can share with your fans so that they can pre-save your song on Spotify before it comes out. You can also figure out at this point whether you want to have physical copies. Do you want cassette tapes? Do you want CDs? Do you want vinyl? It's good to set these things up at the same time as you're distributing the music digitally. If you want physical copies, you should also take that into mind too in the distribution process. You're going to want to register your songs with your performing rights organization. That could be B.M.I. or ASCAP. This is a way that you can collect performance royalties. And a big part of this is also having split sheets with all of the people you made the music with, and having agreements about who's getting what percentage of each song and who's getting the publishing. And if you wrote an album with one person, maybe you guys are splitting it 50-50, but it's important to have all those things taken care of before the music comes out. I always encourage people to use Spotify for Artists to submit their upcoming release to editorial playlists. And Spotify for Artists is also a great platform. So if you haven't signed up yet, it's a way for artists to gain access to their profile, and you can see your audiences, and you can also submit to editorial playlists, which also gets your music on the release radar for your fans to see it when it comes out. Spotify also has these really cool video loops that play when you release the song, and it's someone's listening to it. They can look and see a video that you added to your Spotify song, and those are called Spotify canvases. You can also get to those and create those through Spotify for Artists. It's super important to think about the marketing strategy before going into the release. So once you've got the music distributed, or maybe even before, you're already thinking about a schedule, like when are you going to announce the album? When are you going to drop the first single? When are you going to premiere your music video? When are you going to share all the press photos on social media? All these things are super important during the process of the release, and I would give yourself like 3 months to promote this release, and just like constantly sharing and inviting other people to share and putting out amazing content and keeping the quality high. However talented you are, it's really important that you package yourself. And I know that might have a negative connotation, but it's important to create a package that represents what your music is about, and it's more of who you are, and it's not something that you're doing because you think it's going to be big, but because it's actually true to yourself. Another step in this process is writing about your music and telling the story of what it was like to make the record, and making a press release that you can share with blogs. So maybe you just take some time and put yourself in the space of someone who's getting your record, and you want them to write about you, and they're getting your music and they're getting a story. And what's the story, and how is that intriguing, and how is that interesting, and what led you to this point, and who have you worked with, and what are your most recent releases, who else wrote about you. All that stuff is super important. So what I've done in the past is, when I'm thinking about like pitching my music to websites and blogs and playlists and stuff, I try to make a wish list. So it's like, what would be the top goal of like a website that would write about me. Also making a list of attainable press. So press, like writers who have written about you before and who love your music, or maybe it's your local newspaper, or maybe it's your friend who writes for a blog, or maybe it's a blog that wrote about you before. Those are all things that you can lean on to get a groundswell of good press for your record, while you're aiming for these bigger websites and bigger blogs. It's important to take photos and go out and basically like get a bunch of assets ready for the rollout of social media posts that you're going to be creating leading up to the release and after release day. If you have an email list, I encourage you to make sure that it's updated and ready, and that you can lean on that and send your record out through your email list when your record comes out. Or maybe you want to announce a pre-order, and just make sure that your email list is totally up to date and ready to go. Maybe you want to share the lyrics, or do an acapella version of one of your songs, or do something to like get people excited. You can share the album artwork. You can make vlogs like me, showing people like kind of behind the scenes, what's going on, how you made the music with video. You can do little video teasers. You can post to TikTok. You can encourage people to come together and share your release when it comes out. Maybe you want to get a group of close people who are willing to commit to share the record all at the same time at a specific time when the album comes out, and just lining up all the ways in which it's going to be shared. During your release campaign, it's also very important to just connect with your fans and say hello, and maybe not even talk about your music, but just create a connection and, you know, learn more about who's listening to you by having conversations with them. And without even asking them, that will allow them to be more interested in actually knowing what you're up to and what you're doing with your music. So it's not always a direct ask, like, hey, can you listen to my new song? And then putting the link, but it's more like, hey, how's it going? Happy New Year. Just want to thank you so much for being on this journey and being a part of the music with me. And that could be enough to have them go and click on your next track. You can go live on Instagram, or just go live on any platform and just connect with people. And you can, you know, sprinkle in a little bit of announcements here and there. But I think for the most part, really the connection with people who are listening to you is important, and keeping that authentic and real is gonna serve you well as an artist. I invite you to also make a list of who else your music sounds like. I know that your music is super original and there's no one like you, but I also know that you're inspired by different artists, and I want you to put that down on paper, because that's going to come in very handy when you're creating ads to target those listeners with different platforms, whether you're creating a Twitter ad, Facebook ad, any kind of ad. You're just going to want to tap into audiences who already listen to music that sounds like you. So you've arrived at release day and you've done a ton of prep work and all you want to do is make music, but today is the day that your album comes out, and today's definitely the most important day, but it's just beginning in terms of the campaign, because now you can actually share the music that's out. So we talked about distributors before, like DistroKid, CD Baby, and TuneCore. So there's a couple platforms where on release day you're going to want to upload separately. You can also prepare these things in advance, but Bandcamp, SoundCloud, Loom, AudioMac, there's other platforms that you need to manually upload the music to, because your distributor only sends to, the certain stores. So you're gonna want to do that. Bandcamp is awesome. Love Bandcamp. You can even take the ISRC codes from DistroKid and put them into Bandcamp, making sure that your songs are being tracked and all that stuff. You can create a landing page for your album where all the platforms are on one landing page. I use a website called ToneDen to do that. You can also use SmartLink or whatever else works for you to have all your platforms in one place, so that when you send the release to people, people can have a choice of listening on their favorite streaming platform, all on one page. If you're trying to get on the charts, I would recommend registering the track with Nielsen SoundScan. You can Google it, or you'll see it below here in the description. You should register your release with SoundExchange. SoundExchange collects an online streaming royalty for radio, so you're going to want to make sure that all your songs are collecting that royalty there. So make sure you create a SoundExchange account if you haven't already, and you'll be able to claim your recordings there. I'll include a link for that in the description here. So ISRC codes are like a unique number that identifies your song. So if you have a single, you get an ISRC code. If you have an album, you have a bunch of ISRC codes. The UPC code is like a barcode, and the ISRC code is like a unique code for each song. And if you have a publishing administrator like Songtrust or someone else, you're going to want to make sure that you enter that information with your publisher so that you can collect publishing for mechanical royalties via the ISRC codes. So once the release is out, upload music videos. Make sure that you include the link to the album when you upload the music video, and maybe you have a website premiering the video, maybe you got some press for it, or maybe you're just uploading it to YouTube. Just make sure that you take advantage of that description and put all of your links in the description, and make sure you respond to everybody who watches your video and all that. So maybe you sent out a press release and people actually are going to write about you, or you're going to be added to a playlist. You need to make sure that as soon as the release is out, you're sending those people all of the links that they need for the article or the playlist, and make sure that they have all the assets they need, whether it's photos, videos, song links, all that stuff. It's super important to be very professional and timely with that stuff, because maybe they're ready to hit publish on the article, but you're not awake yet and they don't have the links. So make sure that you get that stuff to everybody in a timely manner. And thank the people who write about you, because that relationship is super important, and they care about your music, and they've taken the time out of their day to check out your music. Maybe people didn't respond to your press release. Now that the record's out, it's a good time to follow up with them, so definitely take the time to do that once your music is out there. Some people might be wondering why when they release their music it doesn't show up on Pandora. And I was wondering that for a long time, but then I found out why. You can distribute your music to Pandora, but Pandora doesn't always automatically add it to their song catalog. So when your release is out, you should go to amp.pandora.com and submit your release separately there. And hopefully it will get accepted and your music will start showing up on Pandora. I'll include a link for that as well in the description. So even when the release is out, I would encourage you to keep pitching your song or your album to Spotify playlists, like independent Spotify playlists. It's actually better in some ways. Now they have the link and they can just automatically add it right there, rather than you having to work it out beforehand and then they're waiting for the link. So now that the track is out, you can start sending it out to playlists right away. Another step in the process is making a blog post on your website. So take all the cool magic of making the song and everything that you wrote about, maybe showcase some videos and include some writing in first person about your release, and make a blog post, and that will help you to have a special place where people can go to kind of read more about what it was like for you to make the track, and they can also have something to share and something that's interesting, that's really unique to your perspective as the artist. Definitely make sure to feature your new music on your website and add it to your discography. Make sure it pops up right on your front page on your website, like boom, new release, and then it's like a video and streaming and places where people can go listen to it. Make sure that that's right there for anyone who's going to check out your website. I don't even need to state the obvious, but yeah, post on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all other social platforms, TikTok. Encourage people to dance to your song. If it's a dance track, if it's a beat that you made, have people rap on it. Try to start something that really can spark a movement and allow people to share. I think the importance of being shareable is like the number one thing when you're posting. Think about when you're scrolling through your feed, there's a lot of stuff that you ignore, and then all of a sudden something catches your eye. So just try to make that content and have it be something that people can pass around and have fun with. Post to your bands in town trackers, people who track you and love seeing you play live, especially in these times during the COVID-19 pandemic. It's really important to make sure that you stay engaged with the people who came out to see you play. And a great way to do that is by reaching out to them on Bands in Town or Songkick. Also, when the record's out, you're going to want to launch paid ads. So I was talking before about making a list of your favorite artists and kind of who you sound like. So I would create that as an audience on Facebook Ads Manager or Twitter or Google or Hulu or whatever platform you're using to promote your music with ads. Make sure that you target it to new fans as well as your existing fans. I also use ToneDen, which is a great platform to create ads and use their playbooks to grow your Spotify and your Instagram and YouTube and get people over to listen to your music. And they have a really great interface which allows you as the artist to not have to be lost in Facebook's ads manager, but also it gives you like very straightforward ways to enter different audiences that make sense for you, and you don't have to be an expert at ads manager to do that. So check out ToneDen for sure. I'll include a link for that in the description. If you do email marketing, which you definitely should, make sure that you bust out an email blast. Even if you don't have a large email list, maybe just make a list of the emails that you do have and send it out to your friends and family and people who you've worked with before. Text people, because that's totally separate from social media and it's like a very direct way to reach your friends. Talk to people individually, because when you're at the independent level, every single listen matters. Maybe there's somebody in your circle with a large following and it's important if you're dropping an album or single or EP to lean on them for support and maybe exchange a favor or offer them some of your music for their content. Create some sort of trade that makes sense. Or, you know, maybe there's some influencers who like to be paid to post stuff, but make sure that you check out your friend group and see who's willing to share. When you feel a certain way, that's how your fans feel. So make sure that you feel like you're in celebration mode and do whatever you got to do to kind of create that vibe for you and your fans. Maybe it's a few months after the release and you want your album to be remixed, or maybe you perform an acapella version, or you do a version with a live band for video, or you perform the whole record on a live stream, or now you're out playing shows and touring off the record and COVID-19 isn't a thing anymore. Find different ways to switch it up and keep things fresh and keep your release rejuvenated over a 2 to 3 month time period. And then maybe a year after it's out, you have special content for the anniversary, or you drop vinyl a year later or something like that. So just stay creative and realize that the life of a song can live forever. When the music's out and it's been a few months, make sure that you save all of the links for any press that was written about the music so that you can include that in your next press release, and you can add it to your website and your press kit, and it just adds a level of credibility when you're approaching bigger blogs for your next release. I would encourage you to kind of explore different platforms besides Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and Twitter. Maybe you have an audience that's waiting for you on Pinterest, or maybe you're a Reddit person and your music would blow up if only it was on Reddit. So make sure to keep your net wide when it comes to these social media platforms, like maybe Snapchat is your thing. Whatever your strengths are in terms of social media, like just make sure that you focus your energy on that, and also like stay open-minded for new platforms that might come into your sphere. And the biggest thing that I could say at the end of all of this is that just, you know, make great music. Like, the song matters the most. And, you know, after you've done all of that work to make great music, go into this mode full force, but still be making music, and manage your time. And I promise you that this will help you.